Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Unhinged Vibes Podcast. It's your boy Coastal, aka Coast Dynasty on Instagram, and for today only, your very special guest, Coast.
Hey, it's Noslin. You can find me on Instagram, Noslin69ers. What up, everyone?
I love it. He's not quite 70, but he's more than 68, my boy 69ers. Before we get started today, we've got a quick programming note. As you might have noticed during the intro, conspicuous by his absence is the captain of this ship, El Jefe, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster, and the vibe father himself, Caramel Thunder. That is Caramel with two L's. CT is away this week, so Nelson and I are going to try to fill his very capable shoes. Hopefully this doesn't fall off the rails too badly, right, Nels?
We'll be okay. If it does, it's alright.
Yeah, sorry man, we tried. So today we are going to talk about our favorite subject. We're looking at Commander. We're going to talk about Nelson and his process in terms of building his decks. Which ones are his favorite? Which are near and dear to his heart? Which ones didn't work out so well? What inspires him? How does he get to building a Commander? And then a subject that is very near to my heart, and that one we're going to start with, is introducing new people to your playgroup. Because what we've done is the last episode, AJ and I had talked about getting started. Now let's say that we get into a moment where you're having a great time and now you've got a regular playgroup and a friend of yours who hasn't played Commander wants to get in. This is a subject very close to my heart because Nelson over here is the one who introduced me to our Magic group. So talk to me about that. How did we get into the point where you wanted to invite me into your friend group?
Well, it all first started when our actual playgroup before Magic, we were all into board games. And at work, when we were still working together at Lotteries, I was talking to you about it, how we were all into board games, and then you mentioned you like to play Magic, more specifically Commander. And then I let you know that, it wasn't really for me. They did try, but it was too much reading. It was just too much for me at the time. And then I think the next time we met might have been a week or so later. I let you know, I'm like, hey man, guess what I'm doing now? So thanks to AJ, Caramel Thunder, and 24 decks later, I am now into Commander. Great game. I love it. Never followed the other formats like Standard and Modern, but to me, Commander has been awesome. Met new people. And then bring you into the fold when you mentioned it. I mentioned to the guys that, hey, I have a buddy of mine at work that plays Commander. Would you guys be open to him coming in? And no hesitation. They're more than happy to bring you in, and that's how it started.
I love it. I'm very happy about that. Let me ask you, in terms of when that happened, you know who me. I mean, a little bit of pulling behind the curtain. You're actually the one I know the most out of everyone in the Magic group, and we have been friends for. I'm getting my 20-year pin, so near 2 decades now, and
thanks.
Aging ourselves, man. So let me ask you, in terms of when you brought me in, understanding sort of what my personality is like and what the personalities are of the people around the gaming table, was there any hesitancy in terms of bringing somebody in like me?
Oh no, there was no hesitancy at all. I think knowing you from our days at Lotteries, I think there was going to be an issue. Friendly guy, we got along with everyone at Lotteries. So I thought with the group we have now, I didn't think there was going to be an issue. Everyone was welcoming. For our first game that we had, if you remember the first game.
I remember a little bit of it. I do remember that I one-shotted one of your friends and he didn't take it too well, but
no. But you know what? That's hey, my name's Mark. Welcome.
This is what I do. No, but I mean, I appreciate that, and I think that's you definitely had more faith than I did coming into that as the person coming into the new group. I was a little bit trepidatious about that because my worry was this is a friend group that you have and I'm sort of coming into that circle, right? And I don't really know anybody. I don't know how it's going to work. And my worry was if I sort of don't vibe well with anybody there, if there is sort of a conflict, that it's going to look bad on you. And that was sort of the worry I had coming into this group.
You know what? If there was, but there wasn't, but if there was a conflict, for me, I wouldn't feel bad about it. I would make it work.
Okay.
Some way, somehow, if one of those, I'd be one of those, let's say, cooler heads prevail kind of thing.
Right,
so,
right.
No, I would have made sure everything worked out. And you know what? there are times during our games where, it could get a little bit heated. But you know what? In the end, we all understand. It's a game, and we all just laugh about it in the end. So no, I think with you coming into our group, it was great. You've played some really good games. You have some really good decks that you brought out. I remember one game that we had where, for some reason, I was attacked 3 times. I know we talked about this before, but
for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why. And I just remember it was Tetsuko was the deck that did me in.
Yeah.
A mono blue deck that did me in.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So you had no concerns. That's great. What were your thoughts actually after the first couple of times they came in? For me personally, after the first couple, I was like, man, this is a really fun group to be a part of. They've been really entertaining. They're friendly, and they're rated around the same power level I am in terms of not just the decks, but the knowledge. So I thought this is really going to jive well. Was that what sort of along the lines of your thought?
Well, after the first few games, I thought that we all gelled pretty well. It was great to bring another person in with a different dynamic of deck building and playing. So and for me, I like to learn a lot. I like to learn how, what your style is like, the decks that you bring. So for me, it was a great feeling to bring you into the group.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Styles makes fights, right? Styles make fights.
They do.
Right. So speaking of styles, with you, what is your personal style? Like what inspires you to build a commander? Like, how do you start that process? Talk to me about your process in terms of when you go from having no plan to this is a finished deck.
Well, first, I'll look at the commander I'm going to build.
Okay.
Actually, before that, I'll look at what colors do I want to build.
Okay, so you go color scheme first.
I go color scheme first. Okay. Do I want to build a monocolored deck? And if I do, I have to accentuate all the strengths of the color scheme and sort of try and hide the weaknesses of the deck. Like, for example, when I built Zergo Bell Strike, I think it's called. Mono red is not really known for card draw, if I'm correct. So I built it with some card draw in it, and when myself and Rui were playing, I was actually drawing cards like at every turn. So I sort of like to go color scheme first, and then what I'll try and do is I'll try and think outside the box of what the commander would normally be built around.
Okay.
Like for example, with Bellstriker, it's a dash commander.
Right.
And for those that don't know dash, it's you pay a cost. Let's say for Bellstriker, it's a colorless and a red, and you can bring it out onto the battlefield as long as it's in your hand, not in the command zone, and you can bring it out. It has haste, and then just returns to your hand. So what I wanted to do was sort of exploit the equipment that it had, because there's some equipment that when a creature comes out, it attaches right away. So it's somewhat of a it's like a Voltron deck, but I guess not a full Voltron deck, if that makes sense, where it's out on the field, goes on the field, equipment's attached, deal damage, and then it comes back out. Also with a dash, you can actually use it as a blocker as well, like a surprise blocker as well. So that was another part of the idea I had, where if someone's going to swing in for, let's say, 5 damage, I had enough equipment that can take my creature or commander over and take him out. Like, okay, well, in response, I'll cast dash. Equipment get attached to the creature, blocks, creature dies, and then you return.
Bring it back
in. You bring it back tricks. In. Oh yeah, it's all about
tricks,
that.
I like it.
And then so I like to think outside the box. If I can't, then I'll try and really accentuate a big positive or big strength in the deck. Like, for example, my very first deck that I built was Shu Yun, which is One Punch Man.
Yeah.
And what I did was I was trying to think of other ways besides, commander damage. Like, could I do prowess? Could I do artifacts? Then I thought in the end, you know what? And I sort of used command quarters build and just change some spells here and there. So all it was just a bunch of cheap mana spells, or not mana spells, sorry, instance and sorcery spells.
Just a bunch of pump stuff.
Pumps up the commander, and then you swing in for the kill. Hence the One Punch Man.
The One Punch Man, I like it. Yeah, I mean, hey, Voltron King is what we call you, and that reputation is well earned because we're looking at this. I ask you about your favorite decks. What are the first two you bring up? A Voltron deck, and then another Voltron deck. I love it. So that's it. So when you're building the commander, what draws you to it? I mean, outside of once you have your color scheme, and let's say you know what kind of what colors you want to fit in. Maybe you know you have an idea of what theme you want to go. Do you go theme next, or where do you go after that?
I guess you can say theme, but for me it's more of trying to first. I'll try and build something unexpected, like something that no one will expect.
Okay.
Like someone may expect, like for example, let's say if I were to build Geese and Giraffe, which is a zombie tribal,
right?
But I do something else,
out
of the ordinary. Or for someone like, I guess Kaikar, I believe that what it's called. I think that's the commander, where you play a non-creature spell and you get 1 red mana. Mm-hmm. So
that is actually Carlo's Commander Boxley commander.
Oh,
that's the one we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, so no, he's gonna have a good build, I'm for sure. And Kaikar's from where again? What?
I believe M20.
M20, okay.
Yeah. It's one of the core sets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah. So yeah, no. So I was thinking, do I go pump spells, or would I go artifacts? Because it is a non-creature, and then would I do the KCI combos on that? Because you can really with any artifact deck you can almost do a KCI combo, but. Mm-hmm. Once you see KCI, then you're automatically going to assume, okay, well, which one is it going to be?
Right, exactly.
Which combo is going to mow us down with? Yeah. So, it's I like to think outside the box first, and then if nothing sort of fits what I want to do, whether it's I don't have the cards or I don't have the budget, then I'll just go with what it could do in terms of what the ability is on the card, and then just try and accentuate that positive as best as I can and try and hide any negatives that it has.
Okay. So once you have that commander and you're ready to go, in terms of resources, do you net deck? Do you start looking for maybe lists online to sort of fit the theme that you're looking for? Do you pull up EDH Rec? What's your process in terms of now once you've got the commander and you're ready to start filling out that 99? Talk to me about your process there, like because I mean every one of us has a different process. Yeah. I try to use that 9x7 that we've talked about. So talk to me about your processes. Once you've got your color scheme, you sort of have a vague idea of what you want to do budget wise. You have a direction where you want to go with this commander. Tell me about what's the next steps.
I like to first off, I'll bring up Scryfall, which is
I love Scryfall.
Anyone out there who hasn't used it? Best tool in the world to build decks.
Yeah.
I like to net deck. I like to just see what's out there, and then just make a few changes.
For sure.
Depending on what I want to do. Like I like to use it as a good base. Again, I'm still new at Commander, so for me to come up with my own, I maybe come up with probably a handful of decks on my own.
Yeah, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with net decking. The thing is, a lot of times you know what you want to do, you just don't know what those cards are called, right?
Yeah, for sure, totally.
Yeah, sorry, but go on.
Oh, no, and then even when if I'll think of a deck on my own, I'm sure it's out there already somewhere, because I know there's going to be a lot of decks out there.
You're not reinventing the wheel here,
No,
right?
No, not at all. But yeah, I like to find some lists out there, use it as a base, and then go from there. Like, for me, because I like to build commander decks, whether I play them or not, like once or not. It's just fun to do.
It's always hilarious. Yeah, that's the one thing I did know about you is that we'll be on our chat and then you'll say, "Oh, I'm building this," and then there are times when you'll tell me I'm building this deck, and I personally never actually see that deck. I never actually play against it because either you've built it and then maybe you've goldfished it and you didn't like the way it worked, or B, you've played it a couple of times that just happened to not be there, and then that's a wrap. It's on to the next.
And speaking of goldfishing, best thing to do when you get your deck completed, always do it. I honestly do it maybe once or twice a day, just to see how the deck is. Maybe there's something I missed that what, I could probably get rid of this card and add a different one, because the synergy isn't there, or maybe it's not as useful as I thought it would be.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Gold fishing for sure is, for me, a must after completing a deck.
Well, and it's just something where, you know what, we can't always get together and play, and it
Oh,
just gives you
yeah.
a chance to mess around with that deck and see how it works. I like goldfishing myself too, just in terms of that, not just that, but in terms of the curve. Does the curve work out? Do I have a play on turn 2, on turn 3, turn 4? A lot of times I'll expect the deck, if unhindered, to win at a certain time. Is it hitting that time frame where, you know, I'm at the point of no return where the deck is rolling and I'm going to win? So I definitely appreciate that aspect as well. I'm a big proponent of gold fishing as well. In terms of once you have that commander, is there a specific maybe power level you want to get to, or is there sort of a direction you want to go? Or is that dictated by your budget or by our meta, by our group?
In regards to power level, again, with I always like to preface with me still being new.
Mm-hmm.
I am determining the power level. I'm never sure what it is. That's
Okay.
why, like, a few times I've asked Rui after we played, you know, what do you think the power level is?
Yeah.
Because honestly, from a 4 to a 7, I wouldn't
don't know.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what that is.
Yeah. Sometimes you build a deck and it looks great, and then you're like, oh, this is catching more hate than I expected
Like
to.
my Drana deck, for example. I know
Yeah.
we played it. Like, I wouldn't know what power level that would be.
No.
I just I know there's just one card that can really turn things around for a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, determining power level for my decks, I couldn't tell you. Like,
Okay.
that's something I would want to know. Like I'll probably read up more on it. Like I've read up on it before, and I've seen what some of the, I guess, determining factors are
Right.
for a power level. So for me, it's just getting used to placing my decks in those levels.
I think that's a smart way to go about it in terms of not immediately sort of declaring that this deck is, you know, a 7 or what have you. It's just basically going through and having an understanding, like, I don't really know how this deck is going to run. You know, let's see how it goes up against, you know, more established decks in our meta, right? When you ran Drana, you ran it against Riku, and you ran it against Azuri, and you know that two of those are two. They're not the top end decks, but they're strong. They're on the stronger end of our group's meta. So you know that if it can run with them, that's ridden around where it is. But I mean, one game's not going to determine that as well, right?
No, because it could play like a tier or like a power level 9.
But you
And
just
then
got to
and then the next game it's like a 2. So,
yeah, exactly. If you get the God Hand,
Yeah,
and then you get
for
mana
sure.
screwed the next turn.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
So-
totally. So yeah, no, power levels. I reading up on that more. For me, placing, it's again. I'd rather have someone else do that for me.
Okay.
At least that way, you know, it's because really it's what they think because they played against it. It's what their feeling is on it. Because I can say, oh, it's a power 8, but you guys may say, well, it played like a 4. So
Yeah.
I'd rather have you guys determine that for me.
Yeah. You can say it's a 6, but if I keep killing Feather, it might not be a 6. There might be an issue there. It might be a little stronger than you told us it was.
Still don't know why. I don't know why.
Speaking of Feather and speaking of your all-time favorite decks, what are your all-time favorite decks? Of the ones that you said, you mentioned that you've got 24 decks. I know you've built significantly more number than 24.
It's right now dropped down to, built-wise, dropped down to 11. I still have a few that are still stock. I haven't done anything yet. But yeah, I've dropped it down significantly now. So.
But yeah, the number of decks you have built
Oh, yeah.
is significantly higher than 24. So talk to me about that. What is, I mean, it doesn't have to be one that's already built. It could be one that you've taken apart already. What, if you can name maybe one or two of your favorite decks, which ones would they be?
I would probably say Shuyun was one, even though I took it apart. But it was just great because it was a budget deck.
Yeah.
I am the proponent of, if my budget deck can hang or take someone out or even win, that enough is a win for me.
Yeah.
Especially if it hangs with all your decks.
Yeah.
It's a win for me. Also, just taking out someone with one shot is always.
Those OTKs feel nice, man.
Oh, they do.
I don't have many decks that are designed to do that, but when I fall ass backwards into an OTK,
Oh no!
it feels good.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And then I wish I could because there's a few cards I can add to Shuyun that can give me extra combat steps, which have been great. It's a bit pricey, but
Yeah.
that'd be the next thing is, if I want to go that route. But I do like playing without the infinite combos or the combos or cards that that are a staple in those decks to win.
Yeah.
I like the fun of is this drawing the card? Is this it? No. Or tutors, for example.
You like the inconsistency.
Yeah.
You like the heart of the cards, the luck of the draw type.
Oh, for sure.
Part of
like with
Commander.
Drana, after that one play,
Yeah.
I was a bit petty, I admit. And I drew one card, and then that sort of turned the tide, I think, in that game. So stuff like that, I like the the inconsistency or the heart of the cards, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
Another deck is SRAM. Yeah, another Voltron deck, but I like the card draw.
Voltron King.
The card draw in that deck is insane.
Yeah, you know what? I had thought about building SRAM. You would beat me to it, and my personal philosophy has always been I don't build decks that somebody else has. And when you pulled out SRAM and the amount of draw that you were getting from it was just ghastly. Looking at it from the other side of the table, I was like, man, this guy is pulling card after card after card, and it was really fun to see. And those are one of those days where he's like, ooh, maybe I want to not draw this guy's ire because he's getting some really, really high advantage there. So,
I know Rui. Rui's favorite deck of mine was when I had Siani and Elgath. That was another card draw deck where it was the mono blue.
Okay.
Where one card was if you were to scry, draw that card instead, and the other one was if you attack. Yeah. So every scry you do, if both commanders were out, you just draw no matter what.
Yeah.
So he liked that deck a lot, and it was a pretty good deck. I took it apart for, I believe it might have been Naban, who was another, I'd say number 3 in my deck.
Okay.
Naban is another good. It's if you remember Naban, it's Wizard. Where
I do remember Naban.
It's another. I guess it's Panharmonicon on a stick.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a good deck. So stuff like that. Like I like the interaction that I can get with my deck, not just like play, swing, and that's it. Like
Okay.
I do like the interaction, like with the card draw,
Yeah.
with the copying of spells. I like that.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, is that you love doing that stuff, which is why I never understood why I got the reputation of being the blue guy, because I was always a guy who likes to turn creatures sideways and swing at face. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, is there so when it came to that, when you were building those decks, did you think as you were building them, this is going to be a deck that I love, or did you just sort of, was this just another idea that was sort of on the table, and then when you put it out and you started playing, you're like, wow, this is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be?
With One Punch Man, yes, it was a deck that I knew I was going to like, just
Okay.
because of the fact that it'd be cool to take someone out with one shot.
Yeah.
With SRAM, I didn't think it was going to be that good. To be honest, I didn't think it was going to be that good. But to draw every single time that I could, it's like, man, this is great. Like, I'm refilling my hand. Now it's just what else can I do with it, right?
Right.
And it's for me, it's I already have that one plan, that one game plan for that deck. It's like if I stray away from that by changing a couple things, how much will it affect the overall style of the deck? So
Okay.
I sort of, because I was thinking with SRAM, adding a bit more equipment, but I'm like, there's a lot more cheaper price and CMC like auras.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, well, if I can keep drawing those at will and getting protection for myself,
Yeah.
and sort of tapping down or causing ruckus for my other opponents,
Disrupting them. Yeah.
So I figured that was a cheap way than getting equipment, because equipment, there are some cheap ones. Like I know there's some zero cost cheap ones out there, but
Yeah, definitely some cantrips. That was
Yeah.
one of the ways that you can build SRAM for sure.
oh, for sure. But I think there's more you can do with auras, because other than the card draw, you can actually place them on creatures.
Yeah, it
and
sticks.
everything.
Yeah, it's a permanent versus, the instance sorceries.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay, so we're talking about we got your Shuyun, One Punch Man, we got SRAM. Are there any decks that you loved for sentimental values, or for sentimental reasons, or anything that sort of now you have a special sort of memory attached to it?
For me, when I had Noyandar, that was a deck that I had that I took apart. But what was special about that was we played it was me and you.
Okay.
And you were playing Crewfix at that time. And this is where I had that deck, and
that was the one that did it to me. Okay.
And I remember you played a spell where I was going to mill myself out.
Yep.
And then I countered it, and then it ended up being like a counter war, where I think we must have played like 5 or 6 counters each. Like we were digging in deep into our deck.
Yeah.
I ended up, I think either beating you or at least
you did.
I ended up beating that one.
Yeah.
But I was already gassed because I had nothing left to play. But
to me,
it was really good because I've never gotten to a game where I was countering that many times.
That was really impressive.
Yeah, and we were digging in deep into our decks. Because I remember you were like, I think AJ was helping us sort of sort your cards, and then Rue was helping me sort my cards. No, you don't need this. These are your lines. Just leave that aside. Here are your counters. And it was one counter. Actually, no, it wasn't a counter. It was almost like a deflecting swap where I just changed the target to you instead, and I think that was it.
That's what happened, and I remember that because what had happened was there was 3 people left on the board. It was myself, you, and CT. Caramel Thunder was the 3rd guy, and I had a mitt full of cards. I was able to. I had at that point, I mean, not infinite, but virtually infinite mana at that point.
Yeah.
So I had drawn out almost my entire deck. And I just ran out of counter spells because you had swung. What had happened was I was going to swing at you for lethal damage, and then you had that deflecting swat. So what I swung at you was going to kill me, and then we just bounced it back and forth like a goddamn tennis ball. No, you take it. No, you take it. And then the hot potato, when the music stopped, it was in my hands. And then, like you said, you were gassed, and CT fell ass backwards into the wind, as he tends to do.
No, not him. No.
Speaking of falling ass backwards into wins and losses, man, we talked about your all-time favorite decks. Talk to me about some of the decks that maybe didn't quite work out the way you thought. Is there any that are memorable in terms of, man, I thought this was going to work better than it did?
Well, the Zergo Bellstriker was one.
Okay.
I thought it was I built it where I was hoping Dash would have gotten everyone's attention. Right. But in the end, the whole build was bringing out creatures that tap 1 and deal 1 damage to creature or player.
Okay.
And the kicker in that one was bringing out Torbrand. So, and I think in that deck too, I had Silent Arbiter as well.
Oh, okay.
So really, it's just one attack, right? One attack and one block, but I can still do damage by tapping the other creatures,
right? Which
in turn would then, with Torbrand out, would deal an extra 2. So that was the plan of the deck, where I was hoping Dash would have caught everyone's attention, and then just bring the defenders out, and then once Torbrand came out, then I can just boom swing.
Okay, so it was almost like a secret commander with Torbrand.
Yes.
Okay.
But I fished it many times, and I played it a couple of times, and it just didn't work out. So I took that apart, because before that deck was Kari Zev.
Okay.
Which was the same thing too. I was hoping that Kari Zev and
the goddamn monkey,
bringing the monkey out, and it would, and all the equipment attached to it.
Yeah.
Everyone would pay attention to that, and then I would just bring in Torbrand and swing in with those guys. So that's what I was hoping for. It didn't work out, so I took that apart. Another deck I had was trying to remember. Oh, Hirobi was another deck. It was fun, but
That's a Dust Drinker?
I think so, where if you target a creature, it destroys the destroyed creature.
Oh, no, that's a different one.
So that one, it was okay. It's just, I wasn't prepared for the hate that I was getting.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I'll take that apart. Maybe I'll come back to it. But it was a game where I think it was with Carlo.
Mm-hmm.
And I targeted, I believe that time it was either Estrid or it was Urza, and his Urza deck was crazy. Yeah, it was one of the 2 games, and then I guess the next game it was that same game. I think he casted a spell that targeted Hirobi, so that got sent to the grave.
Okay. And
I left it in the grave because I had a spell that would take it out.
Right.
So then, and that's what I was gonna do. So I casted whatever it was, and then without me finishing what the spell was, he packed the negation it right away. So
he immediately countered it.
Yeah, and I'm without even finishing me playing the spell, it's like, well, thanks.
Yep, that's
and I think that was a running joke for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't ready for the hate then.
Okay.
With that deck. So, and you know what? I took it apart. Will I come back to it? Most probably, but
Okay.
yeah. So it was a learning experience for me with
For
creating
sure.
a deck that I didn't know that was going to garner that much hate. Yeah, I knew there was going to be hate, but I didn't think it was going to be that much.
Yeah.
So you learn from it, and then I'm not gonna build it again or forget this. Took it apart, and then you know what? I'll probably come back to it again. I just learned from that. So from that game, I sort of, I guess, started building decks or updating decks where if it did garner that much hate, just be prepared.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Be prepared for the unexpected, or be prepared for the expected. Right.
Yeah. Just be ready for it
Yeah.
at that point.
Be ready for anything. That's why, like, another deck that I had that I sort of getting a liking to is my Narumeha deck.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
you
I
remember
like
a game of Kingdom,
I do like that deck. Yeah.
It was just it's a very grinding deck.
Right.
And it did get some hate, but you know what? I was prepared for it. I had enough counters, so like I said, you just got to be prepared for it. And you know what? Don't be discouraged. Never be discouraged if you end up getting taken out early, or if you end up being the arch enemy.
Yeah.
I look at it as what? Hey, it's a strong deck to me, and you're the threat.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
If your cover commander is a significant threat to everybody, and then you have a deck that matches that, a lot of times you can't be shocked when it receives that level of attention,
Yeah,
right?
no, for sure.
Yep. Like I said, in terms of the decks that you've built and it just have taken apart because it didn't quite go the way you did. I mean, that's the same thing with me in terms of the two decks that I can immediately think of. One, of course, we've talked about it, is Tolerant, right? My counterspell deck was it wasn't so much the hate, because it did garner a fair amount of it, but it was just it didn't meet one of my qualifications. I've talked about this in previous podcasts where I say that for a deck for me to run, it's got to be fun for me to play, and then it's got to be fun for everybody else to play against. And that deck wasn't, and that's sort of why I decided to just move away from it. It's just having a level of the amount of people just around me being miserable. And I could see that if I was to bring Tolerant. You keep telling me to bring Tolerant back out, and I'm telling you,
do it once.
I'm telling you, man, you don't want that. You don't want to see what it does. It sucks. And on top of that, it wasn't even all that fun for me to play either, because the idea of just basically telling everybody, no, you can't do that, is fun for about a game or two, and then it sort of passes quickly after that.
It would be fun if you did bring it back, if I played Narumeya with it.
It wouldn't be fun for anyone else if we're on the same
it wouldn't.
team.
But you know what, though? If it was a game of Kingdom,
Yeah.
everything is fair game, man. If I am the knight,
And I'm the man.
and whoever's my king, I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah, the other deck, and I don't know, I think I took it apart before I even met up with you guys, was have you ever seen my Urtai the Corrupted deck?
No, I think you talked about it before, because I think you were saying, oh no, it wasn't Urtai. It was a Boros Commander where you took it apart because it just wasn't
Well, I
good.
still have that.
Which one was it?
That's Iroas.
Yes, that one.
Iroas I still have, because here's the thing, is it's almost a combination of the two things. Like, we talk about what your favorite deck is and the reasons why, and then your least favorite. It's my least favorite deck because it sucks, right? It was one of the first decks I've ever built, and it can't hang at our tables anymore. But I love it because it was the first deck I built.
Yeah, it's that
the
sentimental value, yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks so bad. it's a terrible deck. I look at it and go, man, what are you thinking? What were you thinking when you built this deck? And that's sort of probably of what happened along the lines with Urtai. It was also a deck I built in my earlier days of Magic, and it was an Esper deck, and it just came down to I wanted to build Sidri, and like 45 of the cards
Is in there, right?
are already in there, so I might as well take it apart. Because
Which is Urtai again?
Urtai the Corrupted was it's an Esper commander, and then I believe it's 1 white blue, and you tap him, and then you it's 1 and a blue, tap him, sacrifice a enchantment or creature,
And counter a
and
spell.
it counters a spell.
Okay, yes. I remember looking at that one before on EDA Trek when I was looking for commanders.
So again, it's probably it's a permission deck, which again along those lines was, I guess, as I evolved as a player, I realized that wasn't the playstyle I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So in terms of playstyles, we talk about you being the Voltron king, right? Outside of Voltron, what is sort of your comfort zone? Where do you like seeing yourself? I know you like to basically draw go. Is that sort of what's next after Voltron?
I do like the draw. I do like the draw decks. And now with Drana, I do like the especially with Drana's ability, you choose your own fate kind of deck.
Okay.
So like for example with Drana, I'll have 2 creatures either pick bad or really bad.
Yeah.
And bad as in for you guys. So those kind of decks I like playing. I thought before I was going to be a spell slinger guy.
Yeah.
But at that time I was already into Voltron and nothing was really going to pry me away from Voltron.
Yeah.
Even though Shuyan is, I guess, somewhat of a spell slinger.
A bit, but I mean, it is definitely more Voltron-y.
Yeah. The go wide strategy I do like because I do have and I still have my Slimefoot deck, which is really good.
Yeah, I like playing against Slimefoot deck.
Yeah.
I don't like losing to it, but I do like playing against it.
Like for me it's Voltron, draw, and the go wide strategy, which might be, I guess, the usual suspects, I guess, if you want to say, in Commander.
Well, at least, I mean, for you, I mean, that's the one thing. I guess it goes hand in hand that the Spellslinger wasn't really your thing, because you did mention that you don't love combos and you don't like infinite combos, and a lot of times that's sort of the path you have to take. Yeah. In terms of a win con with those types of decks, I do have to admit that spell slinging is probably my blind spot as well. It's why I don't have an Izzet deck.
Is it bad?
Is it? Oh
yeah!
Boo! Oh, I love it. No, you know what? Going back to our first initial conversation about bringing people into the group. Do you have any advice for anyone who's sort of trepidatious about that? Like they're saying, they've got a buddy who, has never played Commander, kind of interested in it, and you do have a play group. Like, for example, if you had a friend or a coworker at your new place and they said, hey, man, I mean, I'm just starting to get into Commander, or hey, I play Commander all the time. What advice would you give to them, or what would you go about in terms of bringing that player in?
Well, I would... first I'd let my buddy know, hey, you know what, let me talk to the group and see if we can, get another person in. Then, like what I did with these guys, I let them know, hey, my buddy Mark from work, he plays Commander. Do you guys mind if he comes in? And then and they're okay with it. Mm-hmm. And I think too, there is no, I guess, they're not prejudging, the person coming in. It's like, okay, well, guys, let's have a fun game, and then we'll go from there. And I think from then on we've had fun games. So I think just letting the person know that you're gonna ask the group, the group, letting the group know that you have someone coming in, and I think it's just you just go from there, and then just brief introduction with everyone, and then we just start playing, and then what I like to do, and I think what I did was I'll let the group and my buddy just have quick conversations during the game kind of thing, and I'll sort of stay out of it, and then I'll just sort of gauge from there, and it's been great.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I can't, like I said, I can't thank you enough. I especially wanted this to be the first subject we tackled when we had a pod where it was just the two of us, because like I said, if you hadn't done that, I'm not playing Magic right now, because unfortunately with life circumstances and stuff, my other playgroups fell apart. And so I didn't really have anyone to play Magic with anymore, and I certainly wouldn't have 25 decks if you didn't bring me into the fold.
No, for sure. Sometimes that happens, and you know what? I guess things happen for a reason, and here we are now.
Yeah, and I love it, man. Hey, let's moving away from Magic. We're gonna talk quickly. A real quick conversation, man. The NBA season has just started.
Oh. Right. New York.
Oh man,
blue and orange.
Yeah. Oh, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. What do you think, man? How are you feeling about your New York Knicks?
If everyone is healthy, and you know what, if the new players buy into Coach Tibbs' system, which right now it'll be Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. if they buy into a system, and it's a really tough system, if they buy into it, I can see them challenging for the Eastern Finals. I know a lot of people and my other friends will probably laugh at it, but I can see them do it.
I'm laughing internally.
I think they have the right pieces. It's just they have to show up. And I think with Julius Randle sort of imploding, if you want to say, in his first go-round, I think it's a good learning experience for him. Because watching that game, I swear I must have been I could have been throwing stuff at the TV. Because there are times when he had his man just beat. He could have backed him down, drove into him, but he just elected to drive and dish when he didn't need to. Like, he had him beat.
You hope that Julius Randle's last playoffs was sort of like us on a Magic table. You make mistakes, but you learn and you get better from it.
You learn and you get better, and I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping with the new players involved in the team, I'm hoping we get Olympic Fournier. He's another big key, because if he is on, they like I said, they are challenging for the East Final. Also, with Kemba there, I think that keeps Derrick Rose fresh for when they need him at crunch time. So that's good. And their supporting cast, can't say enough about those guys. I think if they know their role, I think they will make it to the East Final at least. To go to the finals, that's depending where they're placed. They do have to go through Brooklyn. They do have to go through Milwaukee. And that's about it. Philly, it all depends, but just those two.
Milwaukee, the home of NBA champion Chris Middleton. What's up, Rui? Franchise player.
But hey, what happened to them that one time they went against the Raptors? Didn't I call that?
Yeah, I know that the Raptors, when the Raptors beat them.
Yes.
The Raptors did beat Milwaukee, led by their leader, Kawhi Leonard. How's Kawhi Leonard doing with the Raptors right now?
I think he's doing good. I think he's doing good. He's won a ring with them, He did what he's supposed to do.
He's maxing and relaxing in LA.
Hey, LA.
Oh, actually,
LA.
San Diego. That's where
yes.
He lives in San Diego in helicopters.
But I'm sure Rui will mention that, because I think everyone was mentioning that year, Fear the Deer. I think it was more Sear the Deer at that point.
They got them rings.
They got them rings.
Now.
They got them rings, but I think the Raptors was before them, I think.
I'm not a Bucks fan, but I'm definitely a Giannis fan, and I love it. I hate to spring that on you. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were.
No.
On the Knicks.
But no, I think the Knicks will do good if everyone buys into the system.
I think so, and I think this might be the year. I mean, I'm a Spurs fan. It's been a good 20 years of NBA shit talking with you as a Spurs fan versus the Knicks, but I think this year might be the year where I shut my big mouth for a little bit because we've got some good young pieces, but I don't know where they're going. I don't know where they're going right now.
Can never count out Coach Pop, man. Never count him out.
Yep, but I mean, I think he's in his twilight. I think what he's doing now is looking to hand the reins off to Becky Hammon once we've got a playoff ready team.
Yes,
I think he wants to shield her from that, from the criticism that would come with a non-playoff team.
Yes.
So I think that's what we're hoping for there.
And I think honestly, she would be the perfect fit with her being there for how many years already?
I think she's been there for at least a half decade now. I mean, she's already led us to a summer league title. I think she's more than capable. I can't wait till to see that happen. Yeah. I think it's a long time coming, but we'll see when Coach Pop has earned the right to basically walk away when he wants to.
And he'll still be part of the organization in some shape.
I think so. If nothing else, as sort of in the Manu role right now, where you pop in when you can and you help transfer that corporate knowledge that we've got, teach the young ones the Spurs way, and then go from there.
He's groomed a lot of successful personnel.
Well, you look at our coaching tree, and the defending champions.
Yeah, Coach Bud.
Yep.
And then
Coach Brett Brown.
OKC's.
Yep. We've got more than a few that have come off the Spurs tree. So before we end here, let me talk about one thing real quick. What are you into right now that's not Magic related?
Right now that's not Magic related. Just lounging around, catching up on movies. I know we did a podcast with Carmel Thunder there about the top 5 movies. So we definitely
got to get on that. We got to get on your top 5. That's going to be a subject for another day.
Oh, for sure, because that got it going. Also, I guess with our dance season coming back, just hitting the events.
The salsa explosion, the bachata. I like it.
Getting that, back into the swing of things. Getting back into some cooking. If you remember, I think I told you, a few years back when I was at Lotteries, I tried out twice for the MasterChef Canada.
Okay. Is that firing back up?
Sorry?
Is that firing back up?
Yeah, I think I'm sort of getting there again. Getting that itch to start, making some, new dishes just off the cuff there. Seeing what I can, come up with. Cooking's always good. Bringing back my guitar.
Oh, so look at that. Look at you, a national cat. It isn't just magic with you, hey? I like
Multitasking.
it. Multitasking indeed. I was going to say, have you gotten into Squid Game?
No. To me, I'm not sure if I'm going to get into that. To me, from what people have been telling me what it's about, I'd rather.
You're a battle royale guy.
I'm a battle royale guy.
I forgot that you are a devout battle royale enthusiast.
Watch that first.
That is going to be You know what? I had completely forgotten about that. That is good. Squid Game will be a tough sell for you especially.
Battle royale. When I first saw that, I thought, to me, that was like a movie that I would never see come out. Like. Obviously, the actors and actresses that are in it are portraying teenage kids, so we'll just leave it at that. And I'd never thought a movie like that was going to ever come up. And I remember too, Tarantino actually wanted to bring this out to the theaters in America, but they sort of kiboshed that because of what it was about. But really, when you think about it, it is Lord of the Flies.
It's a more violent Lord of the Flies.
Yes, a really more violent Lord of the Flies. Yeah. So everyone out there, if you haven't seen it, pick it up. You will not be disappointed.
Is it in your top 5? Up. We're going to save that for another time. Nelson, man, it's been a joy talking to you. Where can we find you, man?
Again, you can find me on Instagram, Noslin69ers. You can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook by my name, Nelson Salvador, if you guys want. Again, it's been great. Carmel Thunder, I hope we did you some justice here.
And me, you can find me at Coast Dynasty on Instagram. That is COASTDY Nasty. You can also find me at powerhouse.ph/Coast Dynasty. Collectively, you can find all three of us at Unhinged Vibes on Instagram. The link to the website is in the bio. Caramel Thunder, we missed you, man. Caramel with 2 L's. Speaking of, this has been Coastal. This has been
Noslin 69ers.
We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.